It is becoming increasingly obvious who the top 5 players are in the world, as 3 of them were literally in the top 3 of both Supernova and Riptide, and they're all Japanese. We had Mia in first place, Doramigi in second place, and Hurt in third place of yet another super major. I think it wasn't a premiere because Sonics dropped out or something, but a very high-ranking tournament where 3 of Japan's best. Akola made top 8 there, and then obviously I think Spargo would be in that conversation for top 5 overall. So that's really interesting. I feel like we haven't had this level of consistency from like a group of players since the 4 Horsemen era, like that year where it was Sonics, Spargo, Mia, Akola, and the fact that I feel like they're all players that are already in the top 5 is really interesting. You had Doramigi ranked first, Akola ranked second, and I believe Mia was third, Hurt was fourth. And honestly, with the exception of Akola, because Steve isn't fast, the thing I feel like that really separates these 5 players is their blinding speed. They make their decisions and their movements so quickly. They make their edge guards fast, their pressure fast, their mix-ups, everything about them is so fast, and it is incredibly, incredibly difficult to keep up unless you are super on top of it. Like, Doramigi has more effective edge guards and a bunch of SDs, which is still so funny to me, but more effective edge guards than basically anyone else in the game right now, and he makes those decisions incredibly quickly, so you are oftentimes caught off guard or panic, and then that leads to a further edge guard because Min Min's broken. Hurt is by far the fastest snake, and not only with his grenade setups, but also he will just run up on you and beat your ass, which is kind of something that most other snakes don't do to the effectiveness of him, right? Like, Hurt, his grenade patterns and his survivability are top-notch, and also he will run up and swing with you. I mean, that's why he's able to beat Doramigi in Snake Min Min, which is a very bad matchup. And the main thing that kind of separates these players, in my opinion, is they kind of only lose to each other. Like, there are, of course, some exceptions, but for the most part, Hurt is losing to Mia and Doramigi. Spargo is losing to Doramigi and sometimes Hurt. Akola is losing to Doramigi and Hurt, but can also beat them. Mia is basically only losing to Spargo and sometimes Hurt, and then Akola, right? Because Akola, they had like a game 10 grands, I'm pretty sure, a couple weeks back in Japan, I think in Umebura. So they're basically only losing to each other. Yes, I know that Akola lost to Syrup this weekend, and he got upset earlier in pools by, I forget who, I think Wrath. But like, they all have their one-off random losses, right? But for the most part, they're just basically only losing to each other. And then like maybe Sonics, because Sonics does really well versus like Akola and Mia and stuff. Also, shout outs to Wrath beating Akola and beating Light in top 8. That's kind of crazy considering the Sonic Fox record is really in Light's favor, so congrats to him for that. But yeah, just these players are just so, I feel like, ahead of everyone else in a way that's kind of scary. And I don't think this is going to quite be the same thing as like the 4 Horsemen era, because plenty of people are winning majors, honestly, because they're just a ton of majors that it's unrealistic that these 5 players are going to basically win everything. But I do think it's just really impressive given, I feel like, the immense amount of competition in the game, right? Like, this top 50 was the most contested ever, both in North America and Japan. We had new people in the top 50, we have new people kind of getting really good breakout performances all the time, and then they just like end up in top 4 anyway, which to me is like insane. Like, since August started, Hurt's worst placement is 4th at Umebura. And again, the top 4 there was Ashimo, Hurt, Mia, and Akola. So again, basically just like only losing to the super, super top echelon of players, which is pretty rare. Like, obviously Akola, had his worst performance at Level Up Expo, but since then I feel like has been doing really well. I mean, 7th at Riptide is not bad, even if it's bad for like his standard, but then he like won Umebura. And honestly, most surprisingly is his, losses at Seibugeki 19, where he got 9th losing to Uame and Reno. But at the same time, I think Akola is ironically slightly under them, just because the consistency of the others have been incredible. Let's see what Doramigi got at Umebura, because I don't know. He did not go. So yeah, I mean, Doramigi's worst performance of the entire year so far is 5th at Seibugeki 15th anniversary, and at Kagedibi number 13. So he's gotten literally, like, he barely even places 3rd. It's mostly 1st, 2nds, and 5th, which is insane, which is why he's the number 1, right? Because I think the other players will have some more slight dips. Yeah, Mia's worst performance, like, other than the 33rd at Level Up Expo, he's placed in the single digits since like Riptide last year, where like 1st and 2nd, like 2nd at Umebura, 1st at Riptide and Supernova, 5th at Smash Factor, 1st at Delta and the Symphonic Festival thing in France. So he's been having an incredible incredible overall year, like with one blight, which Akola also shares. But Dora Migi won that tournament. So it's just insane. Like, I feel like the main thing to really look for with these players is how effectively they play their winning matchups. Like, it just basically feels like an inevitability that when they play a matchup that they're like quote unquote supposed to win, or that they're even slightly favored, they like destroy everyone, right? Like Mia versus Dora Migi, like Dora Migi would beat every other Game & Watch in the world, has been having, like, in terms of the second best one, right, Meister, he's been doing incredibly well versus Meister, where Dora Migi I don't think has lost a set, and if he has, it's like 1 in like 5. And then Mia just makes it look unwinnable for Min Min, right? Like Mia is so good at the Min Min matchup, which is like technically winning, that he just makes it feel impossible to win. And I feel like that is how these other players feel, right? Like Snake versus Steve, and Hurt just beats Akola almost every time with like little to no issue at this point, which is why Akola had to go Game & Watch versus him, right? And either way, like we have Hurt, or rather we have Mia versus Hurt, right? Game & Watch versus Snake is really good, and even though Hurt is able to take some games, sometimes like almost reverse throughout him at Supernova, like at this weekend he just like destroyed him because the matchup is bad, right? And it's not like they're like, oh, this matchup is bad for me, or for my opponent, and then it'll be close. Like for the most part, it's like, oh, this matchup's bad for my opponent, I won 3-0, no issue, go next. And of course, all of them play top tier characters, right? You have Steve and Cloud, and which like Cloud's not really top tier, but you know, I'm including Spargo in this. Steve and Cloud and Game & Watch and Snake and Min Min, and like they have strong matchups, right? So the only way to beat them is to play a losing matchup for them. But of course, there are there are only so many losing matchups for those characters, right? Again, besides Cloud has a little bit more. Spargo just also counterpicks more than the others, with like going Roy and going Aegis for his already losing matchups, because he's kind of been ahead of this curve in terms of the counterpicks. And I don't know, it's just really impressive to see just like how consistently good these players are. It's honestly ridiculous, right? Like if Mia's not going to run into like specifically Leo or Mars, he just kind of does well. If Akola doesn't run into like Hurt or Spargo, he just kind of gets top 3 for the most part. Who did Akola lose? I don't know. Like, he just lost his first ever Steve Ditto, which just shows, like, the dominance in the matchups that are supposed to be really swingy, just, like, in favor of these 4 or 5 players. And it's, like, genuinely ridiculous to just, like, watch a top 8 unfold and be like, oh, they're 3-0ing this person and then losing to, like, their demon. Like, Dora Migi will 3-0 Syrup and then lose to his demon in Mia, and then he'll like sometimes lose to Hurt and sometimes like absolutely destroy Hurt in a way that is like almost incomprehensible, and like Mia just like beats everyone, right? He's just so good, and then he'll like run into Akola in grand finals and then lose because Akola's clutch factor is really intense, right? It's just so, it's honestly wonderful to watch. I'm a really big fan of watching these sets, and it's unfortunate that a lot of people don't care about these characters like that. Like they don't want to watch Steve in Game & Watch, and granted, I also don't really like Game & Watch, like in terms of at least used to, but like watching Mia is just so impressive, and I'm just like in awe. Like he won grand finals in like 5 minutes total. Like game 3 of grand finals was like 1 minute and 10 seconds because he's like, I hit him, I killed him. I hit him, I killed him. Oh, we played a little bit of neutral. I hit him, I killed him. Which is like so insane that you can do that. And of course, again, these characters are very strong, but like welcome to end game of Smash games. Like they all kind of do this, right? Which again, making a video about that, I haven't had the time to record it, but you know, I'm going to be making a video about like the min-maxification of Smash Ultimate, or just like Smash metas in general. But like in my opinion, it's so fun to watch, and it's really impressive. Again, just I really want to like, I can't understate how impressive it is that these 4 or 5, if you want to include Spargo, even though he's a little bit less consistent than the others, but like these 5 players are just like dominating everyone. Like they simply just like don't lose. Like Mia was losing to Gluto for a little bit and then started destroying him, and then they kind of have like a weird little circle, right, where like Akola will beat Mia and then sometimes beat Hurt, but then also lose to Dora Migi, but Dora Migi will lose to Mia, and sometimes Hurt, but then Hurt will lose to Mia, and sometimes Akola, and and Dora Migi. Like, it's a weird little, like, it's obviously 4 people, so it's not exactly a triangle, but it's just, like, this really interesting and intricate back and forth, and they have an arms race with all of their counterpicks, with the Sonic for Hurt, and the Game & Watch for Akola, and I don't know who Dora Migi's gonna pick up for Mia. I hope he picks up Mii Brawler, because I think that that matchup's very good. But if we see the Zero Suit come out, I wouldn't be surprised, because like basically all they have to look out for is like these 4 or 5 players in order that, like, in terms of who they're going to lose to, and then they can just play their main the rest of the time and simply obliterate everyone. Like Zomba's beat Mia before, and then he 3-1'd the shit out of him this weekend. And like all of their top 8 runs just like look so uncontested, other than like Spargo, Dora, Miggy, and again each other counterpicking each other. It's like so cool to watch, in my opinion. It's really, really fun. I'm a big fan of like this echelon of top players. And again, so just for the record, it's not like, I know a lot of people talk about like Japan is better because they have so many majors. Like, no, Japan just comes over here and like wipes the floor with everyone. Like, they just destroy the entire scene because they just are the best players, and they have the most drive, and they like the game. And why wouldn't they like the game? They're playing the broken characters and winning. Why wouldn't you like the game when you're benefiting from the broken characters? But yeah, so I'm just curious as to what y'all think about this. Like, let me know down in the comments, because I think it's really, really fun to watch how fast they are. Like, people really don't appreciate how fast these players are. Again, maybe minus Akola, because Steve is slow and can only do so much, but like the other 4 are so fast. It's crazy. Like, they make these characters look as fast and as mobile as Fox, and they're definitely not that. But it's so fun to watch, in my opinion. As always, social media partner stuff is down below. Let me know if you want me to just rant about other topics. I would appreciate it. As always, nope, I already said that, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.